Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. So much drama in the CDL this past weekend, especially on the potential broken gentlemen's agreements that went down in the New York Subliners versus Boston Breach series. Scrappy even responds to Slasher over this issue and says that maybe if GAs continue to get broken, he might have to bring the snaking back and it's all going to devolve into complete chaos as soon as the major begins. Very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, just a couple of things to notice here. We will talk about snaking here in a second, but they call them the pump police, right? The people that look at these moments and they decide, all right, is this a snake? Is this not a snake? Is he going down once? Is he going down twice? Is that going to be 3 times? And if it is, then, well, you've got serious problems. And if it's not, well, I guess you got away with it. But, you know, here we go. 1, 2. Okay, maybe they got away with that, but apparently Rotation Ant said that the pump police issued this as a snake in record time. I thought that was only a pump or maybe 2, so I think you might get away with it. Sure, there's also questions on whether, you know, any pump should be allowed, because he hits the 2 pumps there, which is, if I was the other guy who just got killed, wee man, I'd be thinking he's snaking for sure, and I'd be fuming. But by the rules, technically 2 pumps is not officially a snake. Also wanted to look at some of the numbers here for the stage so far. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones really that have been noted here over, well, so far in this stage. Cellium, though, manages to lead the stage with a 1.27 KD, which is pretty incredible, really. He managed to clutch him against OpTic with like a 1.6 almost to get over the line here to be the #1 KD. It's incredible just how consistent this guy is. I mean, we saw even Clay was like the only guy that's had his number almost so far. When they played Carolina, Cellium was really struggling on that sub-base hardpoint. But apart from that, he's been pretty dominant. And it's the 5th time that Cell has been the highest KD performing player in the stage. 3 more appearances than the second most. Simp and Pred have 2. So you guys can see here in these stages, Cell has had the highest KD, equal in stage 2 Cold War, Vanguard stage 1, Vanguard stage 4, and every time he's done it, it's been like a 1.27. So you guys can see the numbers that are usually led. I think the highest ever still Zenny. Yeah, it is. Vanguard stage 2, Methods at a 1.38. So he's definitely going to be taking that one. That's going to be hard to beat, to be fair, from Zin. But the big drama going down between the Subliners versus Boston series, apart from the potential internet issues that the Subliners were also having, was the potential breaking of gentlemen's agreements. It's been a big talking point over the last few days, and it's, to be honest, never going to go away. There's new spots all the time that seem to be either getting discovered or potentially should be added to the GA list, and the reality is these things aren't enforced by the CDL. The pros have come up with their own system to enforce these things and to punish teams that are breaking stuff. We've seen with the Seattle Surge over the last couple of weeks many instances of broken GAs, snaking, 2 smoke grenades, single tap to run, all the stuff. Now, you know, all the cheese is coming out. But it does tend to be the case, I'm not going to lie, that the GAs either get broken or potentially get broken when it's crunch time. It feels to me that when there's a very important series, very important map, all of a sudden the GAs are either getting broken or, you know, very close to getting broken. In the situation, let's say, when Huke was snaking the dumpster we talked about a couple of days ago, he was doing it at a very important time in that map in what would have been a pretty crucial series. So I'm expecting to go into the major and see much more stuff just like this. Initially, I thought, okay, maybe it's just going to be snaking. But the reality is there's loads of other spots that are GA'd. There's loads of, you know, we know how these maps are designed. There's some spots that maybe should exist, some spots that maybe shouldn't. And it reminds me a little bit of the whole Clayster unintended line of sight thing from back in the Black Ops 3 days, when there were loads of spots you could get up to with the jetpacks that, well, he was using a spot in a tree, if you guys remember this story, on Stronghold Search and Destroy. It was a league match. He was on FaZe at the time. He had like a jump spot into a tree where he went up and you could see the bomb was getting defused. It was ruled, I don't know if they're playing Complexity, whoever the series is against, it was ruled that was like an illegal spot. They got basically forfeited for that series, and Clay then made a video explaining that, well, there's so many other spots just like the one that he used when he is standing on something, because he was standing on the tree. There was a debate whether it was a pixel walk or whether it should be allowed or not, and actually the league themselves declared that spot was not allowed. But Clay said, well, if that spot is not allowed, then what about all these other spots, and is this an unintended line of sight, etc, etc. But the same thing kind of applies today, but today the CDL don't care, right? They just let you do whatever you want, within reason. I think there's probably, you know, pixel walks and stuff like this are probably officially banned, but certain spots that are in the map are perfectly fine. It's like last year we saw lots of stair glitching going on, and the same mechanic still applies. The problem with this particular spot here that Slasher is using is that it's not a stair, and apparently this is causing issues for the pros, you know, massive brains, of course, to figure out exactly what to do about it. Because last year it was known that if you were stair glitching, that was considered a cheese, breaking GAs. We've seen many players do it, you know, Ghosty was doing it last year, Clay did it kind of famously in that comeback against the Los Angeles Thieves on that hotel hard point. They made the crazy comeback on when he was on Vegas, of course. But this year the mechanic still exists. Slasher lays down in this spot, can see the guys coming around the corner. They can barely see him, if at all, and actually killing him out of this spot is incredibly challenging. It's been known about this spot for some time, other players have used it for some time, and there's other spots on this map as well that are similarly cheese, I suppose you can argue. So there's been lots of reaction to this being used by Slasher. Why was this, you know, why was this used? Was he breaking a GA? Was it actually not GA'd, which was Slasher's point of view and others' point of view we'll see here in a second. And also Scrappy tweeted about this as well. I had a feeling this tweet was going to get deleted, so I actually screenshotted it, and this is what Scrappy says. Let me know if I'm going to start snaking again, i.e. if you guys are going to start breaking GAs, then screw it. GA's out the window, let's bring snaking back and go all out. I'm not going to lie, snaking is the most egregious of like everything. I really just hate that mechanic, especially to watch from a competitive perspective. So even if some of the other GAs get like revoked or broken or nobody cares anymore, hopefully the snaking one is still upheld. But it is the feeling of the players that, well, if you're going to break a big GA against me in a crucial moment, I'm going to start snaking the living hell out of you on this map 5 and take home the bag for the victory. And I'm sure that we're going to have talks about this during the major, because there's been, you know, what, 5 or 6 potential instances of red cards, yellow cards at least, going up for breaking GAs over the last few weeks. I don't think that's going to change going into the major. The feeling is of many of the players that maybe, you know, today's crop of players aren't the same. They don't have the same integrity. This is definitely Slash's perspective that the players previously used to have. And look, we saw it after the series when Simp came out and said, oh yeah, they were stair glitching. Surge, though, the dirtiest team in the CDL, right, for using all of those, all of the GAs that they've broken over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, Subliners were definitely calling out Boston for breaking this GA. Kismet then kind of doubled down and said, yeah, keep on stair glitching. I'll be taking note to that. And Kismet's like, yeah, for sure it's not banned, brother. Like, you know, this is on you type thing. You were breaking the GA. Now, some players felt it differently. Envoy, though, was convinced that it is a GA'd spot. But it doesn't seem like all the pros are in agreement on this. And I'm kind of mind blown at how badly they've managed this particular case. Because you might think stair glitching is banned. And that, I think, was the opinion of many of the pro players, is that, well, any kind of stair glitch, which is basically what this is, it's banned. But Slasher says that actually, well, it's not so clear for the pro players because they haven't officially voted per spot. Stair glitching might be banned, but Slasher says that what's been happening is that some pros are saying, well, it's not a stair, so it doesn't count as the GA, so it's perfectly fine. And Slasher's opinion is that, well, in a crucial moment, come Champs Grand Finals or Major 1 Grand Finals or whatever, someone's going to use it and say, well, I wasn't breaking the GA because it's not a stair type thing. And that's kind of what Slasher believes on it. Most pros, I'd say probably most pros, thought that it was probably GA'd just because it is a stair glitch. But Slasher says that no, we have to be specific on every single spot, and therefore by the rep chat, because they hadn't voted on it, it's not GA'd. He was saying that Clay had been trying to get it GA'd for a long time now, but the pros just wouldn't vote on it, and therefore technically it's not GA'd. Slasher said, look, it's not GA'd technically. Scrappy says this has been GA'd from before, yes, but people use certain spots even last year, top cliff on HyDra. So yeah, I think that's the point, that there's certain spots on certain maps, like cliff on HyDra, that are kind of like lay down stair glitching cheese, but yet they were kind of used anyway, so it wasn't like a full stair glitching GA. Slasher's take is, look, I think all the cheese should be gone. It was brought up multiple times and never technically banned. So apparently the pros on this one have decided they have to go spot by spot on this, which is just an absolute nightmare, and the pros have a hard time organising things at the best of times. Getting this figured out is a bit of a nightmare. So I'll share what they had to say here, but also what Scrappy said on the fact that the Subliners themselves, the team complaining about this mostly, were actually the ones initially using it the most.
Yo, I'm hearing New York's doing it every time they play the map. I got Boston doing it. I got Vegas doing it. I got Minnesota doing it.
No, it's not GA. Exactly. And nothing's being said about it.
Bro, listen, all I'm saying, I have thrown out way too many red cards before Major 1, guys. It's banned.
So we banned it last year, but this year it's fuck that.
I just explained it to you. Listen, we banned staircase glitching, okay? But with the professional players that we have today that are scumbags, you have to literally go through spot by spot and say, this is not allowed. Because then they'll be like, oh, but dude, it's not a staircase.
I'm not doing that. So
okay, Kismet's in the chat. Hold on. Kismet's in the chat. He said we don't do every map. We did it a few times on accident weeks ago and got roasted, and we don't do it anymore. That's what Kismet said in the chat.
Stop, bro.
And why in the chat is it not GA'd? Can you tell me that?
Bro, somebody's...
Why am I...
GA now.
Join now.
All right, listen. Somebody has to get...
I'll send the details.
Somebody's got to get
okay,
a flash
the thing
card.
is, I've been told for multiple teams that New York is the one that's doing it to most people. And then everyone
I Scrim does it.
That's what I heard.
Wait, Scrap, I'm sure you come out Propane Street and people are there on the ladder laying down, are they not?
Wait, P4, wait.
Like on high rise, when you come out like Long Street, we call it the Propane Street, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, where the ladder is.
People lay down by the ladder, right?
Yeah, that's OP.
That's what I'm saying. People do it. Everyone's doing it because it's not GA'd right now. I don't know why, but it's not.
So I know this has left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth of some in the community, the fact that the Subliners were, they're really going off on Boston about this, right? They won the series anyway, and maybe they could have just left it at Kismet's tweet to say, okay, you stay glitch, I'm taking note on that one, but, they kind of went off about it, right? Kismet did the replies, Sib then said what he said, and, really going at Boston over this, and there's people that said, maybe for good reason, that actually it was the Subliners who broke the GAs first when Skyz did the snake in a while ago, and now apparently they were like the first team to be using this. Kismet maybe and the guys were using it in scrims over the last few days. I think even maybe HyDra was spotted using it very briefly in this very map itself. So I'm not really sure they can talk all that much in this particular scenario, and Scrappy says, look, it was those guys that were doing it a lot in the first place. So hopefully after this, they've actually come to an agreement, the pros, and said, all right, let's get it out, because we don't really want to be seeing this used at the major. Attach says that, he's, I guess, a rep in the chat for Vegas, can confirm that stay glitch is not currently GA'd by the technical rules. So, technically, Slash has done nothing wrong by what the pros have agreed to, at least according to what we know. But this stuff isn't public, we don't know what's said in the chat, and managing this seems to be a massive challenge. So will these guys get this solved, but also, come the major, will we see things devolve into some degree of chaos, right? If there's plenty of spots on maps like High Rise that are just like the one we have just seen, that need to be gentleman's agreemented but aren't by the pros for whatever reason as of yet, will they get used in an important moment at the major? Probably yes. Will it mean that players like Scrappy will follow through on his brief words to say, look, maybe it's time I start snaking again at a crucial moment? I hope that doesn't happen, but I wouldn't completely rule out the possibility of it happening. We've got to look though at the overall KD leaderboards, as we see Cellium, I mean, to be fair, maybe he didn't need the 1.56 against OpTic because he was leading the way anyway, but Cell at a 1.27, Simp at a 1.19, and Gwyn actually gets in here to the top 10. We saw the other day, this top 10 was just players from OpTic, FaZe, Toronto, and New York Subliners. Now that's not the case. I think maybe Kenny was in here, he's now dropped out. Pred is still here with a 1.12, Skyz, HyDra, CleanX, Insight, Scrappy, 3 from FaZe, 3 from Toronto, 2 from the Subliners, 1 from OpTic, and now also Gwyn at a 1.08. Very impressive, to be fair. However, the worst is now Felony, and it's kind of rough, really, for the Burger Kings, because the previous Burger King was GodOX to the 0.77. Fellow comes in, he's only played 2 series, but he does have a 0.76. Sure, play looks better, the team looks better, but you're going to need some more kills at some point. So we'll see if that can work out in the losers bracket, of course. They play probably Rocker is what it would be expected to be in round 1 of the losers brackets. And actually now, despite the series win for Thieves against Ravens, they are actually all in the bottom 4, which is pretty bad. They're probably not actually this bad of a team. It's just that their hardpoint is so bad that their overall KD is just going to suffer massively, because that's when most of the kills and deads actually come into play. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Just finish out with this, I suppose, the team of the week from the breakdown. I think this was interesting. Cellium for sure, like CleanX for sure, I suppose. Sib, I thought, was surprising to see him in here. I thought that probably Scrappy I'd have found a place for on here. And also, I thought personally for Miami, I'd have probably put Vikul in here. I thought he was the MVP for them this season or this week so far. But I'm very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.